Welcome to the Remembering Accused Witches of Scotland virtual conference. I'm Lisa May Young and I'm in conversation today with Councillor Kate Stewart, one of the founders of the group. Hello Kate, welcome.
Hello Lisa, thank you for having me.
I chatted to the group at large, if you like, a few weeks ago, and I'm absolutely fascinated by where you in particular had come from. Please tell us about Kate.
I've been around a long time, and that's what I say to my grandson. How do you know so many people? And I say, I've been around a long time. That's why I know so many people. And probably age is a good factor with me at the minute, because I have experienced a good life and would like to help others to do the same, basically. And that's how, being a counsellor helps you do that too.
Can you tell us about the circumstances that led you to becoming a counsellor?
Again, I think it was because of injustices, maybe in the workplace started it all, because I was a trade unionist, believed in the trade union, represented people through the trade union, probably spurred you on, when you've seen maybe injustices, unfairness happening to people being stressed to the max, being, I wouldn't say bullied, but fearful because of circumstances, because of being in the workplace and sometimes the threat, redundancy, things like that, or being sacked or being investigated or being reported, trying to help them to work through it, because some people are very fearful and anxious and intimidated. I would have to say that some people say, I'm not easily intimidated. So therefore, maybe that I have a voice that I can help others, and especially women that I've seen in states, because they're fearful, they're frightened, they're stressed. I don't like to see that. That's the kind of help I used to do as a trade unionist, and as a trade unionist then a lot of them have came through the trade union and went into politics, and that seems to be a road that a lot of people travel. And I happen to have that journey too.
Is there a particular moment that you decided to put your name forward?
There's been occasions in my life where I've been investigated, reported, accused. I've been accused of many things myself, which just weren't true. And trying to prove that, and how I say I represented other people, because I knew what like it was.
Because you've been through it yourself.
Yeah, helping others to wade through all that, bureaucracy, legislation and all the rest. So that's probably why I wanted to help others with whatever, and especially if things were unfair or untrue, to prove it right. So I did win a few cases, I have to say. Good cases. And even I got one guy, and he still always tells me this as well. He even got an increase in his wages. Couldn't believe it. We were arguing about the sort of job valuation and where that wage sat, coming off better off. One of the few, I have to say. That probably led me doing that party. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So had you always been interested in public service, or had it been this wish to advocate for others and fight on their behalf?
I think it came from background. I'm a miner's daughter, and my dad, and he was what he said to me then was his dad, but his dad died young. He was in the Communist Party.
So was my granddad. Yeah.
So that I think that's where it stems from. And my dad was would stick up for people if he's seen anything wrong or whatever, and he was a hard worker as well. And the sense of community that we all have. I've got two other sisters, community workers. I was a community worker, and my brother was a sports a coach type of thing. So sense of community is very strong with us, and I think that came from our mining background, our upbringing with the miners, so it goes a long way back. We've enjoyed it, and as I say, that came from my dad, and the work ethic as well. We're a load of workers, and that's a polite word.
Yeah, because Fife has got such a rich mining history.
Yeah.
That kind of get your head down and get on with that sort of attitude.
But to work hard to sort of gain And we did experience the strikes as well. So people had nothing, had no money, had no food, had to queue for it, had to go to soup kitchens and that. I remember, I think at one point, I had left the house at that time, but it was like the tables turned, that my sister and my brother still in the house, that they were paying all the bills and that because my dad was on strike. And they were lucky because they were working. Some people weren't as fortunate, but we all tried to muck in and help one another if we could. And we still do that. Big style. It's been with me and it stays with me. As I say, I still do it. On a voluntary capacity as well.
I understand that you run a community pantry. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I set it up. I'd heard about it and I thought, that sounds a great idea. We need to get a share of it. And it was through the charity fair share. I met up with them and we had already been doing a food project in Valleyfield on a small scale, but this would help develop it. But we called it the pantry. We distribute the food. People were coming along to collect it, and they couldn't believe it. I had a room full of food, and I said to them, this is all going to landfill if we don't eat it, we don't share it. And they like that principle, save the food, all that food going to landfill. They loved it, and it's dignified. And it's a case of we're all helping, we're all equal, we're all trying to achieve the same aim and be part, and we're all part of it. So people would come along and say, hey, I'm not on benefits, hen. I say, neither am I. So that gets it over with. It's not about being on benefit, it's about other things. And let's all take a share of it, a share of the food. Stop it from going to landfill. And let us be fed at the same time. Let's all be fed at the same time for a low cost. So, and we've sort of, because of the COVID, we were distributing, there was food, but we're bagging food for collection. There were food bags being for collection. But also I was delivering food along with another volunteer every week for months, to elderly, to young families, to people who were ill, disabled. So we were doing that, as I say, for weeks. But when it sort of into phase 3 and that, and the shielding was eased up, we taken a wee step back. And I had managed to get the club money for the lottery to employ a food worker. They're now employed. And so working out together that we've said we'll do a Saturday supper. So we've just started it. It's only a couple of weeks going, and we says we'll do a Saturday supper again with the food, some of that we get donated and things like that. And under 18s, because young people didn't work or maybe be at school until they're 18, so we treat all the young people the same. Under 18s will eat free. If we've got food, we'll share it, and under 18s will eat free. Yeah. And that means the adults then are able to fend for themselves, and everybody gets a share of it. You know, you can make a big pot of soup and it spreads out amongst so many people. We can make a macaroni and it spreads out with so many people. So why do we charge? Well, we're a wee bit fortunate that we're getting donations of food and things like that. We're not going to make a profit, you know. And it's good because it allows young families to come along and sit as a family, get a wee walk in the Saturday night, get a wee meal and walk home. So it's nice, it really. And so I'm working voluntary on a Saturday night, you know. I gave up drink years ago, so I found something else to do.
You've got, when you're talking about, you've got this massive smile on your face, and I get this real, you're establishing this real sense of community gathering together on a Saturday night to share a meal.
Well, it's just, as I say, it's just our publicity needs to improve, basically, and we're working on that as we speak. We're waiting on all the leaflets coming, and they'll go round every door to ensure everybody knows about it. I just look, it's a wee village. I can get round it then. But anyway, that is what we're doing, and we hope to build on it. So with the winter coming in, and everything else.
Everything's going on.
And because of the furlough scheme starting in October, there could be people losing their jobs. So we're maybe in a place then that we can provide a wee bit of that it takes off and people use because that's what we want them to do.
Yeah.
Is come and share in the food. That's what we're there for.
Yeah. Without any shame attached to it or anything like that. They're all just doing something as part of the community.
Yeah, and as I say, it's all equal. It's all equal. You know, they all pay the same or they don't pay.
Can I ask how you got involved with Remember and Accused Witches of Scotland?
Yeah, I'm going back. It's like Kelly at the Carnegie Library and that had put on a West Fife Witches lecture on a Saturday afternoon, and it was in October, and that was my birthday. So I says, I have to go, you know, because it was the West Fife Witches. I says, I have to go. And Lillis was the star of that, the subject matter. So definitely I went along. And I'd actually been reading an article beforehand for Julian Goodard about the lack of memorials to people accused of being a witch. And that struck a chord with me as well. So I sent the article along to that because I thought that's that's something we need to think about. I was going to talk to Sarah about it, but I think because it was my birthday, Sarah invited me maybe just to say a few words of what we thought about the lecture about Lillis. And I had held up the article for Julian and said, you know, here is an article who says there is no memorials to commemorate the victims being accused witches. And that particular workshop was sold out. It was sold out. So I had a good audience and I said to them, do you think we should campaign for a national memorial based on that article? And I says, if you're interested, put your name down and on your way out. And they did. They did. So Sarah collected the names and then we met up and we invited them all to a meeting. So that was the kickstart of everything, because it all developed for their people. We met with the people who put their name down. We listened to what each person was saying. They all had much the same thought. And then after that, there was another article similar to Leslie Riddle. So we invited her to a meeting and she came. And then it grew that she introduced us to Julian Goodard and Louise Yeoman and Liz Ann Henderson. And from there, we then came about, decided for a conference. We held that in May 2019, and I'm sure it was about 140 or something people attended, a full day Sunday, and we couldn't believe it. People wanted to come along and spend a full day Sunday talking about that. And at the end of the session, we asked again, should we campaign for a pardon? How do people feel about that? Or should we campaign for an apology? Or should we campaign for a national memorial? And I think the national memorial got the highest preference. So that then moved us on to do that. And at the same time, a wee local heritage group had decided we wanted to do an accused witches trial. So they were all running in tandem. Yeah. But we also done a wreath laying ceremony as well. It's sort of just like an afterthought. We could do that this year because that could commemorate Lillis's death. So we held it at the end of August with the provost. I'd asked the provost if she would lay a wreath, and she obliged, so I was glad of that. So it was recorded as a civic ceremony, which again I take delight over because Lillis has got a civic ceremony. She's recorded in the Fife Council book. Alan Logan, hasn't he? The minister who done all this. We didn't even mention him. So she's got a civic ceremony, and that to me speaks volumes as well. Turning her story around to say she's got something that you haven't got, that you're not going to achieve. She's achieved that, and lo and behold, which I never ever imagined, the photos went viral, I ended up getting journalists from America, Sweden. We got radio broadcasts for Canada, Boston, London. The Times covered it. The big national newspapers.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe just this wee ceremony would result and all that. But it was an experience, I have to say. It was a good experience talking about Lilith. Because that's what they wanted to hear. They wanted to hear about Lilith. See,
her story.
Why we done this. But I got lovely emails. I never got one nasty one, not one. I got lovely emails as far as America saying that they loved what was done. They loved it. Thanking us, our group, for doing that to these women in particular, So that was good. And there was also a magazine that it's like that goes to all the expats in Australia and Canada and all that. So they covered it. And there was a travel company, Obscure, I can't remember the second name yet. And it was like unusual travel destinations. So they put it on their list as well to come and see Lilith. Yeah. So I never ever imagined that it would reach other areas outside West Fife, but it
has. When you speak about Lilith, you speak about her with such affection. Can you tell us about...
she's my neighbour,
Yeah.
That I could have been friends with her.
Yeah. And that photo of her is so... last week you said she could be your granny, literally. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a granny, so...
Yeah.
We'd have been two grannies together. It was unfair what was done to the women, and particularly Lilith. And people here maybe just didn't realise, or maybe young people in particular didn't realise what she suffered, the bit is missing, because the Disney cartoon type of characters, portraying a witch, children in particular, have a different image, that they could be evil and ugly and, ride on a broomstick and have cats and all this image, And they've just maybe no cottoned on to the story that the Lilith had. And they would see the vast difference that this wasn't the case, But for young people, I wouldn't want to frighten them either. I wouldn't like to frighten them. But just to sort of say, there were no witches evil. They couldn't have done what they were accused of. No way, nonsense, It was, again, like a Disney cartoon. It was made up. And that's what we maybe have to say. These are all made up stories that you hear. And this isn't the true story. And that, to me, has never been... They've never had the occasion to present their case, to say, here is the real story,
Yeah, because they had a chance to record it,
No.
They didn't have that power at that time.
No.
Yeah.
And who wrote the minutes, who wrote the records, were they in power? That they could write what they wanted. And, and people believed them because they were in power. So these people had not a chance. They had not a voice. They had none. They were... I heard Louise Jones saying they had a one-way ticket. There was no way back for them in some cases. So, and that's the sad fact, eh? That's the sad story for me, is they had no justice, no voice. And I hate, and it was men in position of power at the time. And now, as I say, I love trying to take some of that away and turn it round for them as well. To say, and we're changing the story, and the big man that you because, as I say, we gave Lilith a civic ceremony. You've not got that.
Yeah.
And there is maybe some thoughts that Lilith maybe committed suicide. We don't know that. But then if she did, she actually taken control and taken it away from them as well. And I say because she died unexpected, without being tried, without being found guilty or whatever. They say she confessed. That's debatable.
Yeah.
But for me that she then maybe if that was the only thing she could do, that she had left to do and she'd done it, well, she'd taken that bit of control back for them. And it resulted with him, she did frighten him, because he was fearful that they hadn't followed due process, that he could have been caught. He let some people go on the strength of that. They had to bury her very hurriedly.
Yeah.
They thought that because she died and they hadn't been burnt, she hadn't been tried, so she couldn't be burnt. They had to bury her. They had to bury her on the tide line to ensure that she wouldn't come back and torment them. It caused some sleepless nights for them. I'm glad, frightened the life out of them. She did. So yeah. So she changed that then. She changed what he was doing then. He let people go. So he knew he was in the wrong, showed that he was in the wrong. And with burying her on the tide line, there was the belief for them that because Lilith, they believe Lilith's soul was still possessed by the devil, that he could animate her and bring her back. But with them putting her on the tide line and putting a big slab on top of her to ensure she couldn't come back, but the belief that witches wouldn't walk over water. So water over her, although it's no so now, but 300 years ago it probably would be, So, as I say, there's some instances where the control thing was taken away, and at the time it was all, to me, about social control, how they used to control people in their community through the fear of God and all the rest there. Yeah, and a big fear would have been being accused, because if you were burnt, you were just scattered. So you weren't buried or anything in consecrated ground, and that would have been a stress factor to people as well. Humiliation that you weren't going to be buried the same as the rest of your community. Banished for that community then. People just left her to that fate, and she was banished. But Louise Yeoman said when we done the wreath laying that day, she says that was us welcoming her back. We welcomed her back. So that was a nice thought. Yeah. We're talking about her more in a respectful way, dignified way, than what she's maybe had in 300 years, that she was the target of ridicule, humiliation, fear, and accusations. So no, she's no. That's a big thing, But you get Lilith recognised, and people love her story. No, in that sense, but because they're talking about her, and maybe realising that she is the only accused witch that they have a face to and a body, that was there. So they actually have somebody that they can refer to. Yeah.
And restoring her dignity as well.
Yeah, that's a big. She's a person now. She's not a witch. She's a woman. Scorn blinking woman. That they just done and said what they liked, and now we're trying to change that story. Not just for Lilith. I mean, but Lilith is my lady, and I call her my lady for Toryburn, my Toryburn lady. Lilith, my Toryburn lady. That's what. And but there's other examples, horrific examples. They're all horrific. Right across Fife and Scotland and beyond, they were all horrific. I take no joy in what they've done. In fact, I don't even like reading some of what they've done. I skip over that and read about the person, and as I say, it was horrible. I just hate reading what they endured, what they suffered. I hate that. But if we can do anything that can actually restore, as you say, some pride and, respect for them and dignity for them, then that's something that we could do. Be putting up a monument, it's not a big thing, is it? It might be a big monument, but it's not a lot compared to what happened, really.
What they endured,
More is all we can do, then we could do it.
Yeah. At the unveiling of the Accused Witches trail, Claire Mitchell QC attended.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah, we'd heard, Cllr was trying to hold a conference in April, and I had actually signed up to it because I read that Cllr was holding this conference to try and get a campaign for a legal pardon and an apology for the accused witches. So we had somebody else to look at to say, well, we're not alone here.
Yeah.
With this top QC going to do more, and campaign for a pardon. Definitely support that. But Cllr had to cancel it because of COVID, obviously. And we then had spoke about the trail, and I spoke to Sarah and the rest that she was the ideal person for a invite. And I managed to get her email and sent an email, and within about 5 minutes she came right back and says I'd be delighted. So
yeah,
and that was right to the start. She was so responsive and so caring about it as well. Everything, and when she's seen the discs as well, she loved them because they said innocent victims, and that all think they were all innocent victims, and they were, what Leslie Ridder has said before, they were ordinary folk. I think that monument in Orkney says they were ordinary folk. Me. So,
it's going to be your day trying to survive.
Well, that would have been horrible then, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I had to say, even in this age, this is what we're doing as well. We're trying to survive.
Yeah.
With the COVID and everything going on, we're all trying to survive. So,
definitely.
So not much has changed in 316 years.
Yeah, we've just got Zoom there. So
it's lovely, and she's passionate as well. She was so obliging, and it's because of the cause to get a pardon for these women, because they were innocent victims, because we know that what they were accused of was absolute nonsense, that nobody could have done that. So we know that they couldn't have been guilty of this crime that they were accused of. So it was an injustice, a big, grave injustice to these people during that time. And the fact is, we know that now. And so why are we shying away from it? Why are we not recognising it? Why are we not doing nothing about it? To the likes of Claire Mitchell, she is, and we support her to the hilt on that.
Yeah.
And we have said that we will all work together and support one another. She does back her calls for a national memorial, and we certainly back hers for a legal pardon and an apology where it's due. So I've come of this, I have to say.
I can't wait to see it.
Well, it's a long way to go.
I can't wait to see it. From what you're saying here, I get the sense that social justice is really important to you.
It brings me, because there's a lot of people out there now, and we've seen that, who have signed up on the Facebook page, who are much of the same mind. So there is a lot of people out there think the same, that this was a grave injustice, and so we've got like-minded people saying the same thing, and they're backing us at the minute. Hopefully they keep doing that, and hopefully we can bring them on board and support the campaign and get people working together to get a national memorial, because I think we've got about over 4,000 names with to sort of accommodate on this national memorial, for Scotland. Wow. I think it's maybe more. You need to speak to the academics to quantify that. But yes, it would need to be a huge memorial to accommodate all the names, because you're talking about, there's a map which that is for different areas right around Scotland. So that if we were actually doing that, and there'll be some names still being uncovered for the academic side of things as well. So, but there was a gravestone that they never got the chance, to have their names there, like we have in the local graveyards, to say relatives and there's your past. You know, they never got that. So having their names, you know, up there for people to recognise or just remember or even just known about now as something else to behold, that we're remembering them. And that's what it's about. We're remembering them. No forgetting, no just discarding or throwing away their lives that didn't matter or that they didn't exist. They did exist and they had a bad ending, and we should apologise for that as well.
And they mattered.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they mattered. Yeah, yeah. Going through all that, my God.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So a national memorial is a big, you know, that can say a lot with all their names, in a respectful, as you said before, and dignified manner. You know, that we're actually, you know, we believe you. We believe you were near a witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question, Kate. 100 years from now, someone's listening to this, maybe one of your descendants. What would you like them to know about you and your work?
Just that I did work. That I was a worker, you know, and to help people in the community or wherever. And regardless of any class or distinction, a race or whatever, everybody's the same as far as I'm concerned, and should be treated accordingly. Yeah, that's all.
And that was in conversation with Councillor Kate Stewart for the Remembering the Accused Witches of Scotland virtual conference.